What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical, that is the daily fantasy handle that hopefully takes something down or like at least min cash. Let's try to min. No, we're not trying to min cash. I'll take it. Keeps that bankroll going. Tonight on Fanduel or Draftkings, we're here. It's not for the next 2.5 to 2 hours plus because we have a slate that starts at 6:40. So we're here for the next hour and 40 minutes. We will yield to the crunch time crew around 6:10ish with Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. You got Keith Eyster and Dave Potts. Two-time millionaire winner. There's another two-time millionaire winner. One in this show. It's Chopper. Head Chopper. Hump Day. What's going on, dude? How are things in your world? I feel like we haven't talked in a while, but you said it's only been a week pre-show. I guess I missed that. I think it's been longer.
Maybe. I have to go back and check the schedule, but I know we had an All-Star break, and then you took a vacation week, so maybe it has been a little bit longer, but it's behind us, Dean. I forgive you for taking that long break.
Am I not allowed to? This is my first vacation in over a year. Am I not allowed to take a vacation? Should I run it by you next time?
Well, some of us get stuck doing the hosting duties when you're gone, and it's not fun, man.
How did that go? You don't like it? You don't like hosting?
Not a huge fan of the host, especially not a huge fan of the host with just a two-man booth. Then it's really intimate, and that's I really don't like that too much, but it is what it is, D. You gotta earn that paycheck, so I guess I gotta do it.
Hey, I know you don't like it when I host. You don't like it when Britt hosts, but what? It might be better than the alternative of you hosting, right? You don't want to get stuck with us. But
now let me just clean this up a little bit. I never said I didn't appreciate you hosting the show, Dean. I do. All right, I appreciate you. You are correct. I could do without the Brit Divine hosts. Okay, when I'm on the show, I could do without that one, but I can appreciate what you do here, man.
Fair enough. I just want to be appreciated, Chopper. Our returning champion, back from yesterday. You survived the slate. I don't know if you did well or not. I didn't. Didn't go well for your boy. How about yourself, Tim? How did things go yesterday?
No, I did not survive the slate yesterday at all, but it didn't really matter who I went with. I went with the Dodgers. I tried to fade Coors. It was a good fade of Coors, but also the Dodgers were terrible. So I did not have a good night yesterday.
They were my number one team as well yesterday. It's weird, by the way, today. Who cares about today? It's already happening right now. But they knocked out Patrick Corbin in the first inning. 6 runs in the first inning. And it's that weird thing of like if you stack the Dodgers today, you're super excited about that. But now they just done nothing since then, like 5 innings shut down. The Washington beat them the first 2 games of the series. I guess it was the first 2, right? And now they're taking it out on good old Patrick Corbin, who did not survive the first inning. Man, that's pretty rough. But I don't know why we're talking about the slate earlier today. We had a show earlier today talking about the slate, and hopefully you guys joined it because Rowdy Tellez. We give a big hype on Rowdy Tellez. We're talking about Chris Archer being a regression monster. Milwaukee looking like the stack to have earlier today. But, hey, man, we got some time to kill, Tim. Going to talk to slate. Again, an hour and 40 minutes if you include the crunch time crew. Just a 5-gamer. Pretty straightforward. Elite pitchers up top. The offenses are just kind of sort of there. Like, some guys are going to homer. Nobody really stands out as like incredible plays. Your thoughts as far as the slate? I suspect that you're going to want to spend up with the big boy arms and take some chances as far as the sticks.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough to get away from Mad Max tonight. So I don't, it's like, for the sake of argument, I guess you could get to like Gosman or Castillo on FanDuel. But personally, if I was 150 maxing on FanDuel tonight, I would just go all in on Max and then make sure that I would have some like Yankee one-off plays against him because there's a chance that he'll give up a couple like solo home runs. But honestly, like I just don't see a way to get away from him as my pitcher tonight.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that's kind of one of the things I wrote about today in the expert survey is that I'm going to play some Mad Max and I'm okay playing a Yankee or two and homer hunting against him. We know he gives up a ton of fly balls. That ballpark does protect him to some degree, and his homer to fly ball this season is actually pretty lucky. I think it's less than 10%. And by the way, I didn't run 150. Don't ask me why, but I ran 137 on FanDuel. That's I ran 137.
What a random slate for you to run 137. This is a pretty gross slate.
I just felt like having some fun, and Chop's on here too, and Chop does that on occasion. At least on Fridays, he does. He seems to. Chop, are you running 137 lineups tonight on Fanduel? You're running one.
I am not running 137, Dean. That's weird. A weird number to throw out there, but I threw 150 in there. Just Wednesday, season's winding down. I ain't got that much longer. Might as well have a little fun with it. When
you say season's winding down, I feel like your season, the baseball season, ends for you like when the NFL season starts. Is that a fair assessment?
No, it actually ends the Friday before the first college football game. So probably around August 27, 26. So, yeah, it won't be much longer. I'll be it's just every season, it starts off, it's fun, it's new, it's exciting. And then after a couple of months, it all just kind of gets a little boring. Even football, by the end of football, you're even like, dang, this is wearing me down. I'm ready for a break of football. So baseball will do that to you. But, I got about a month left, and then I'll be hitting the field.
We're just never happy, right? We just can't be happy with what's going on in the current state.
Dean, it's not about happiness, Dean. It's about the attention span, and the mind of the people these days with the social media and the computers and the iPhone. Like we want something new and different, like all the time. So sports get a little bit boring there. Like I like 20 years ago, I was stoked to have some action down on a game, betting. Yeah. Calling into the 1-900 number to get the scores because they didn't even have the ticker back in the day. But like now we gotta have like a million different things at once.
Yeah, like the ESPN ticker, and like we're showing our age here, Chop. But like, remember when the ESPN added the bottom lines to the bottom scroll or whatever? Like that was like you would just watch that to see if the score would change.
Yeah, that was it, man. That was the way. Like, and I'm talking about before they even had the ticker. Like, I remember when the ticker came around. There was a time without the ticker. People watching this show right now probably weren't even born yet. But there was a time without the ticker, and I shit you not, the way you would, like, if you had some real action down on the game, the way I would get a score is they had like these 1-900 numbers for like $1.50 a minute. You'd have to call in, and the guy would just be reading scores off over the phone. It was the weirdest thing thinking back on it, but it was normal stuff back then. You never got a piece of that, Dean?
No, I don't remember that. I mean, I remember like maybe listening to the radio trying to get a score or something like that. Tim, are you in our particular age bracket? Do you recall?
I believe you guys got me by a couple of years, just a couple though. So.
Fair enough, but I wonder if anybody in the chat can. You were losing your bet, and on top of losing your bet, you're losing $1.50 a minute, waiting for them to tell you you're losing your bet.
I was probably a pretty heavy loser back in the day. Yeah, whenever we're talking about that age where you're just throwing bets in, and yeah, you'd get caught with a little $1.50 fee to have them tell you that you're losing your baseball score or whatever. But then I made it back in other ways though. Like I know you guys remember the 1-900 numbers where called his number, Victor Landslide will kill your bookie, whatever it was. Hey. Like, yeah, I remember there was this one where this guy whoever it was would charge so much, and he's had the Monday night winner, and like we used to go to other people's houses, and one of us would sneak back to the phone and make the call on the 1-900 and charge and run up the $20-$25 on their bill, and then split after we got we did that for a while. That was fun.
John Anthony, of course, Chop, I figure you catch my reference. You've seen Two for the Money, right? Matthew McConaughey?
Absolutely. I know what you're talking about.
All right. Yeah. He basically played like a Stu Feiner type. He wasn't that insane, obviously. But
yeah. Yeah, that was the way they were back then. There was a lot of them back then, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, there was like a half-hour show that was essentially like an infomercial to call like their numbers. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't know if the younger audience does though, Dean.
I'm not sure if they do or not. But wait, what is this question here? Hoosiers Hang Banners in chat is asking, Chop, he wants you to ask me my first concert I ever saw. Why is that a thing? Why are we talking about that?
Probably because when I hosted a show when you were on vacation, we were running low on info, plenty of time. We went through the slate, so we started talking about concerts, and everybody had a good time that day. So I guess they want to know what your first concert, maybe your favorite concert, or we got time today. Well, you guys might as well give us your first and favorites.
So my first concert, I don't recall which one came first, but and I wasn't here for the entire event, but I was working the event with my uncle. Not worth getting into, but I was at Woodstock in '94, which is kind of wild. Where the fences were down like in 3 hours in or something like that, and I saw Bush at some point, the band Bush. I was at Woodstock. Yeah, I saw the band Bush as well around either right before that or right after that. So one of those two are my first concerts, but I didn't really get to see a lot of Woodstock. I did see Bob Dylan at Woodstock, but I was too young to like appreciate Bob Dylan at the time. But yeah, I guess that would be, and then Bush with gosh, who opened up with them? Like, geez, one of those random like one-hit wonder types. Hum. You remember Hum? That's my answer. What do you got, Chop?
Oh, I've already been through mine. Dave Matthews, a little Steve Miller Band was probably my favorite one, but I've already been through them. What about Tim?
I had like Dave Matthews phase. I think everybody had their Dave Matthews phase, like sometime in the mid to late '90s or so. Tim, what about yourself? You're probably a little bit different as far as bands.
My first concert was Fish. You guys know Fish?
Of course, yeah. I've never been to a Fish concert, but I hear they're pretty wild.
Yeah, that was my first concert.
Are you? What are they called? They're not called like Deadheads, but like they're not called Fish Heads, are they? But I mean, they're kind of like the next generation of Deadheads. Is that fair to say?
I mean, that might piss some people off, but I get what you're saying. It's close. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, you one of those guys that they have like those 20-minute medleys, and I never got it. But like,
that's the type of music, definitely.
Is that still your thing?
I mean, I've matured a little bit. Like I don't do the same things that I would do at a Fish concert anymore. You get what I'm saying? So yeah. So but I still appreciate their music. I do like their music quite a bit.
Kirkwood says his first. We're looking at the chat. See what the chat says as far as their first concerts. It's Gator Nation saw Styx. Wow, 1991 at the county fair. Let's see, Public Enemy for Kirkwood.
I thought Kirk was a big fan of Insane Clown Posse back in the day. He was a juggalo.
No, was he a juggalo?
He was a juggalo.
I don't think that's true. It might be, but I kind of want that to be true, and I kind of don't want that to be true. But my first Beastie Boys for Casey Douglas. That's a good first concert.
I love Beastie Boys.
Yeah, they still hold up too. Like every once in a while, you turn it on. It's super innovative. A lot of people use their samplings and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you sort of forget how influential they were. Anything else interesting popping up in the chat? Let's see.
I tell you what's interesting, Dean.
Yeah.
Let's break off this topic and let's go to television shows, man. Have you seen any good shows lately, Dean?
I know you were tweeting about Severance. You like Severance, right?
Oh, that was a good show. That was an interesting show. I saw you tweeted what was it, yesterday, 2 days ago, about, I don't know, I forgot what show you were watching. The Bear. No, the cast of some movie that Scott Pilgrim or something like that.
I don't love the movie necessarily, but I think the cast is good.
You know what happened? Right after that, I started watching TV, and you know what show the movie came on? 25 years old, Dean. 25, more than 25 years. The Great White Hype. Talk about an insane cast.
Samuel Jackson, Damon Wayans,
Jeff Goldblum, John Lovitz, Jamie Foxx, a young Jamie Foxx just getting started in comedy.
It is,
and I sat there and watched it, and like I used to love that show. The jokes stand up over the test of time. That's tough for a comedy to do, but it really does, man. The Great White Hype, one of the most underrated comedies ever, man.
Well, you said you're clicking through. Like I can't remember the last time I've channel surfed. You channel surf still?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Well, because you got the Netflix and you have the HBO Max, and like you have the recording your DVR.
I'm not going to sit down and just continually watch a show until I binge it and then I move on to the next show. I want to have some variety, and I want to have like a set to where at a certain time of night, okay, now it's showtime. Let's go find a show.
That's insane, Chop. You really do that? I don't remember last time I went through the channels like that. That's insane.
Absolutely.
I don't think people do that anymore, Chopper. You're an old man.
What are you watching all day and all night? You're not watching like flipping through sports and stuff?
I either have like MLB.TV on, and if I don't have that on, I have something on Netflix or I have something on I have. I'm not
can't do that.
Channels.
Yeah,
I got to flip through some channels.
I've been staying at Grant's place.
You still buy a newspaper, Chop?
If they had one, I'd get the Sunday paper if I could, but I don't. But yeah, man, I like to save my shows for special, nighttime and then the weekends and stuff like that. Otherwise, I like to flip through some because you don't know what you're missing. You might like Great White Hype. Shit, I would have never found that. In fact, it's not
But
even
you can
on.
find it on Netflix or anytime you
can't
want.
find. You can't. Some shows, some good shows you cannot find on Netflix, Hulu, or any of those things like that. You have to pay for them under a different format.
Or get a
and then plus you just forget about them you just forget about things like this. Like you can't remember everything. So I would like to flip through some shows. But Dean, have you what's the I saw the Bear. The Bear was pretty good. The Bear was pretty good.
You're a restaurant guy, so I'm sure you especially appreciate it.
I know a guy who says, oh man, I tried to watch it, but they're all just yelling in the kitchen and it's too much going on. And like that's the way kitchens are, man. That's the way those guys get down back there. So it was kind of like pretty realistic, Dean. But I got a couple more shows for you, Dean, that I've seen that I'm going to highly recommend here.
Okay, go ahead.
Definitely The Old Man on Hulu.
That's the only show that I'm currently watching right now. That show's awesome.
No spoilers for you, but that's a hell of a show. It's a really good. It's just well put together.
That's a really good show.
Great character development. That's a really good show. And then the other one,
sneaky good. Like it's one of the best networks out there.
Yeah, no doubt. And then if you haven't seen the Blackbird on Apple TV, that's pretty good too.
I have not seen that. No.
I recommend.
By the way, B Shot's got a question in chat. Chops, what's in the DVD rack? Are you one of those guys like you're still flipping through channels, you're still reading newspapers? Do you still have your DVDs on display somewhere?
You guys are going overboard now. No, I don't use the DVD rack anymore. In fact, I'm trying to sell all my DVDs, but my wife keeps them around just in case the kids ever want to see a show from 2005 again. We can pop it in the DVD. I try to get rid of them, but now you guys are going overboard now.
Let's see. Oh, I saw a couple good. Yeah, Cheyenne, first concert, Lincoln Park and Green Day, 2005. That seems like a good first concert. Everybody's talking about Barry in the chat. We all love Barry. I know me and Kirk would have talked about that a fair bit. We'll talk about the slate in a second. Don't worry. Plenty of time to jump in there. Kirkwood says you love Magic Mike. Can you confirm?
I do like the Magic Mike trilogy. I think it's a trilogy.
You've seen the third one? Is there a third one?
I don't think there's two of them for sure, but I like it. I think it's entertaining. I'm not, handcuffed into just like, I can't watch this because it's got some guys dancing in it. Like, you got to watch what's good, Dean. You watch what's entertaining to you, man. I think it's entertaining. So I like to watch it.
Peaky Blinders is one I got to start. I hear that's really good.
That's a really good show. I love Peaky Blinders.
And I think it's just finishing up. Is that correct? I think they're just.
Yeah, I think they were 2 years for their last season. It took them to put it out, so I waited 2 years to finish the show, and it's really quite good.
Michael in chat talking about Better Call Saul. Yeah, that's my favorite show right now. I think it's, and if they stick the landing, they could have the two best TV shows of the 21st century, and Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. And it's just absolutely incredible what a triumph they've done, and I think they will, because I just trust that they know what they're doing. You guys watch Better Call Saul, I presume. Chop, you're watching Better Call Saul, right?
Did you see last night's episode, Dean?
Were you upset? People were upset it was too slow. I just thought it was
okay.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to give away any spoilers. All I'll say is I think the episode could have come maybe in the first half of last season, of this last season. Could have come in the first. It could have just been different timing on it. Dropping it now, I didn't appreciate the timing of that episode right now when we've only got a few left, and I really want it to be oh man, action packed.
I think it's gonna be, but most of the stuff has been resolved. Most things have been resolved, right? Yeah. The kids.
No spoilers.
Yeah. I know, but a lot of stuff has kind of sort of been wrapped up, and we may never see some characters, even in the last three, I think. But let's knock out this slate. Again, I'm sure we'll stray aside at some point throughout, but it's interesting, Tim. You said you would just hit the lock button as far as Scherzer, and I love Mad Max too. He's going to be amped up tonight, Subway Series against the Yankees. It's his 38th birthday. I have the three top pitchers basically in 99% of my lineups. It's Max Scherzer, it's Luis Castillo, who's quite possibly throwing his last game of his career with the Cincinnati Reds. He seems like almost definitely going to get traded, possibly get traded the next 4, 5, 6 days, whatever it is. I don't know why they would. This if you believe in showcase games, this feels like a showcase game, and they've been letting him unleash of late, going 7 innings, like throwing 100-plus pitches in multiple games. The Marlins are pretty inept. There's some contact guys in that lineup, which is kind of annoying, but I think Castillo is going to just throw a gem. And then you have Gausman against the Cardinals. Of course, they're without 2 of the best players. Nolan Arenado and Goldie are absent. Chop, how are you handling this as far as the pitchers? Like on DK, I'm doing my best to grab 2 of those 3. On FanDuel, again, they're one pitcher site. I have 99%. I think I have like 1% Garrett and like 1%. This is out of 137, right? I got 1% Garrett, who's okay. He's fine. He's got some talent. I don't think the Cincinnati lineup's very good. And I think I have 1% Eovaldi just in case, but he's been terrible since coming back from his injury. And his velocity's been down, and it's just a throwaway lineup, but somehow he worked his way into one lineup. How are you handling pitchers, Chopper?
Well, since I'm playing mostly on FanDuel, I only have to have one of them. So I'll probably end up with just split up between the big 3. I don't think I'm going to lock in Scherzer, but I think I'll have a fair amount of him. I'll be overweight on Gausman and overweight on Castillo. And then maybe you mentioned Garrett. He's the one guy in that cheaper range that I could see playing. So he's the guy that's remaining in my player pool. But I like the big 3. I don't think I obviously in a vacuum I like Scherzer more than the other 2 guys. But with the price difference and the baseball factor variance, anything can happen. I don't think I'm going to necessarily go all in on him. Castillo's the guy that if people are looking and going, he's the interesting one to me because. If people are going to really lock in Scherzer to where he's going to be really highly owned, then that's going to drive down the Castillo percentage. And then they're also looking going, but Miami doesn't K much. And they don't, but man, they are pretty inept as far as any kind of stringing together power of any sort. So I think I can comfortably play Castillo and feel pretty decent about it. And there's a decent chance that he can hang right there with Mad Max. So I'm the big 3 mainly on FanDuel, pretty evenly spread out.
Yeah, Astudillo is kind of annoying to have in that lineup there for Miami because he doesn't walk, he doesn't strike out, he makes contact, he swings early. Now, if you look at the plate IQ, you see JJ Bleday at 0% strikeouts. That's completely misleading. It's only 10 at bats. If you look at his minor league stuff, he's actually a prospect, like a legit good hitter, but he has a hole in his swing. 27% strikeouts in the minors this year, give or take. I was looking at it before the show. And the bat has him projected to strike out like a 28% of the time going forward in the majors. So just if you see that green on Bleday at 0%, that's pushing down the overall percentage as well, obviously.
Yeah, there's no power in there, Dean. But Stan, he brings up something in chat. He said, "Are you worried they limit Castillo?" I'm actually thinking the opposite. This is a showcase. We're going to get the most for him we can. He won't be with us next week. So we're gonna let him. If this guy can pitch nine innings, we're gonna wear his arm out tonight. I don't think they limit him at all, unless of course there's a trade and he gets scratched mid-game or something. I don't project that to happen, but I think he actually gets pushed further than what they really would like for him anyway. I don't think he'll be part of this team next week.
On Prize Picks, you can bet pitches thrown. I didn't look at it today. But they can't make that number high enough. I completely agree with you. I think they let him go. 14 pitches last time out, 108, 103, 123, 103, 110, 102, 111, 100. Nobody's got a longer leash than that in the last month. And they're gonna move on from him. They don't care. Let them unleash the gas tank, whatever you want to say. They're absolutely going to showcase him today. I mean, of course, if he gets beat up, so be it. That's how it goes. But that's why I think Castillo is a really interesting pivot away from Scherzer. What do we have here, Tim, as far as the ownership? Because I'm curious. Okay, so we got Gausman and Castillo basically splitting it on DK. And so, Tim, 200 percentage points up for grabs, right? And we got 64 to Scherzer, 48 to Gausman, and 46 to Castillo. Let me do my UCF math. That's like 155 percentage points at a potential 200. Like that's it. That's all people are playing, and understandably so. Do you think that's accurate? I think that's about right.
Yeah, I have no problem with those numbers at all. I think that Castillo is a great play today. I just for FanDuel purposes, I just prefer Max. Like I think Max is only going to be like, let's say 50% on FanDuel. So I mean, I'd rather get overweight to Max than Castillo. But the harder question is DraftKings. I think about who you want your SB2 to be is Gausman or Castillo.
Do you have a lean?
I guess I lean Castillo, but I'm not 100% yet.
Yeah, I was hoping Castillo would be a little less owned and just Gausman would feel more. I don't know. People would gravitate to him a little bit more, but I guess that's not going to be the case.
I mean, the thing is that this Cardinals lineup is just it's so watered down with no Arenado and Goldsmith. So it's like you're taking like two of your best bats right out of the lineup. So I feel like Gausman's safer. Like if I'm playing just cash games, I'd probably go Gausman, but Castillo I think has the better ceiling, so it's tough.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be in theory shooting for ceiling, right?
I mean, if I'm playing large field tournaments, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but if you're playing in a tournament with like 200 people,
right? That's kind of where I'm at. Is that I play these smaller field type tournaments, so it's harder to like if I want to go with the safety or go with the ceiling because they're pretty much like the salary doesn't matter. They're $400 apart, so it doesn't really affect your lineup construction at all. It doesn't affect like which team you can stack. So it's a true 50-50 between those two.
Who is the fourth best pitcher, Tim? Like, I don't know if you're going to get there, but if you had the roster somebody besides Scherzer, Gausman, and Castillo, like, who's your next favorite pitcher?
I guess you could take a flyer. Are you talking about DK?
Either way, however you want to answer that question.
I guess it's maybe Braxton Garrett. I wanted to say Nathan Eovaldi, but I'm concerned about his velocity. Yeah. So until I actually see that he's back to full strength, I really don't want anything to do with that situation. So I guess it's Braxton Garrett.
Yeah. How about yourself, Chop? Do you have a fourth favorite pitcher today? Or are you even messing with that stuff or no?
Braxton Garrett. I'll probably force in some Braxton Garrett shares right there. I think he's I don't mind the matchup. Like the matchup. He's coming off of 2 straight games where he put up, 18 strikeouts in the last 2 games. He seems like he's looking pretty decent these days. So I could see that happen, especially on DK, where you need maybe a little bit cheaper starting pitcher too if you want to go that route. Definitely. But FanDuel, I have a few shares of him just in case because it's baseball, Dean. You just never know.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers are a little bit skewed because those last 2 starts were against the Pirates. The Pirates are bad. They're worse versus lefties. But, like, there is some talent in that arm too. So, yeah, he's probably my fourth favorite as well. And I don't think Eovaldi's going to pitch well, but he is really cheap, I guess, on FanDuel. He's right there with Garrett. That's why I have, like, one lineup. There's no conviction behind it. But I did make one just in case. Like, you never know. But otherwise, like Quantrill and, Wainwright, he needs the BABIP gods to be on his side. I don't think, I just don't see it. I suppose he can, but he's also not going to strike out like 9. If he can go 7 with 3 strikeouts, that's something he could do theoretically. But Rasmussen, Wells, not a big K guy. I know his Tampa lineup's pretty horrific these days. Domingo Germán has looked bad since coming back. Small sample, but since coming back, he's looked bad. I'm not there. I don't think he's going to get a big leash anyway. There's nothing left here, right, Chop? That's it.
Yeah, that's it. There's not much. Yeah, I mean, you never know. A guy like Eovaldi could come out real sharp and look good, but yeah, it's not really. After those 4 guys, there's not really anybody I'm particularly interested in.
I mean, I guess Rasmussen could be in the pool, but I mean, it's not pretty. Like, I mean, for DK anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I if you're running 150, is that the qualifier? Like, how many laps you got to make until you get the Rasmussen?
Yeah, no, I mean I'm definitely talking about a 150 setting. I'm definitely not talking about anything else other than that.
Yeah, it's like you got your pool, and you got nothing but these hot babes in that pool: Scherzer, Gausman, Castillo. Then all of a sudden, Dean comes trushing along here with his Speedo on and jumps in the pool. Man, like
I'm Rasmussen.
you're
Or I'm
Domingo.
Wells.
You're Domingo Herman.
He's kind of a husky guy. Yeah, that's that's a good visual for the people, Chop. I'm sure they appreciate that.
It's a metaphor.
Anything else as far as pitchers, or shall we move on? I think we should just move on, right?
Move it on down the road.
Oh, according to looks like producer Steve in the chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Kindly hit the like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. Hit all the things. Apparently, it's Rasmussen's birthday as well. You could have a birthday pairing. You could play Rasmussen alongside Scherzer. Both their birthdays tonight. I don't want to play Rasmussen though. All right. Do you want to mention, if you guys are playing on FanDuel tonight, your first $3 should be in the FanDuel single entry series. It's back. $50,000 up for grabs. Bonus cash. 6 weeks of opportunities. It'll be with 8 different contests. Every single week, it's a different entry point. This one, again, $3. You also make that happen. And if you finish first, your top 4 scores throughout the week, you will win yourself a trip to Chicago September 9th. Hang out with TJ and Christy and Eric Johnson, who took it down. He was in chat yesterday talking about he won himself a live final seats. Somebody else, Squirrel, of course, Squirrel's there too. Chop, are you trying for live finals these days, or not so much?
Nah, I don't think. I can't remember trying for a live final in quite a while. Maybe an occasional one-off, but no, I don't. Nah.
You have live final appearances? I'm trying to think that was your thing ever.
Yeah, back in the day when it was interesting and fun, I liked it, Dean. It used to be something. It used to be a lot different than it is nowadays. Like back in the day, if you qualify for a live final, you had a legitimate chance at some good money because maybe they gave out 20, 25 tickets to these things, and when you got there, everything was real personal for you. You got to meet everybody. Nowadays, they ship in like 200 guys, and it's like even the live final.
It's down corporate. Is that what you're saying?
Even the live final, there's like 50% the first place, top heavy, kind of like. So I don't even haven't gone that route in a while. But and then plus, who wants to? I don't want to be all in on traveling these days. I kind of want to travel as little as possible.
You don't want to leave the house.
Just don't want to get on a plane.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, if you do want to travel and you want a free trip to Chicago, win the single entry series. Again, $3 this week. They have it up to I think $100. I'm trying to remember which. You'll see it changes. RotoGrinders sponsored. Again, first $3 if you're playing on FanDuel. That's where you get it. Just added value to the pool. Just your first top four scores will be added up, and number 1 will move on to the contest in Chicago, and you have a shot at winning $10,000 if you take that down. And I guess it's against 8 other people. I assume it's a small pool. That's not. You don't have to compete against the 200 other people. It's a separate contest. Tim, are you a live final guy or no?
So I've tried to qualify for like some PGA live finals and a couple like NHL live finals, but not like it's not like a regular part of my bankroll management.
Yeah, and it's an oxymoron, by the way, trying to qualify for live finals and trying to have bankroll management, because it's a huge bank. It's a bankroll suck if you don't book them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been that guy. Like sometimes I'll get tickets and stuff like that and fire, but I've never been somebody. Although I think it'd be fun to go to a live final, and I've been like a +1 or just kind of crash the party a couple times. I've been a moocher, but I've never actually been in a live final contest just because. Yeah, I got to finish first out of 15,000, and if I get third, I get steak knives. It's just going to tilt me more than anything else. And but it seems like fun. I'm not discouraging it. It's what do you want? If you chip in a chair, living the dream, go for it, man. Have a good time. All right, let's talk about the hitters. Let's talk about stacks. Tim, stacks today are kind of rough, right? Like, are there any stacks you really, really like? By default, you got to rank somebody first, but whatever it is, it's not spectacular, I don't think. Is Tim with me?
I believe he's on mute.
Tim is on mute. Rookie mistake. Tim, you were here yesterday. You're returning champion for a reason.
Unbelievable.
It happens.
Talking about the stacks tonight, Tim.
Am I back?
Yeah,
You
we
are
can hear you.
back.
You're good.
All right, cool. All right, my bad. So yeah, it's a really ugly night, and I think there's going to be a lot of ownership on the Reds, which that's, I'm not a big fan of that if they're going to be highly owned. Like I think like India is going to be like 35%, Drury's going to be 20%, Pham 25%. Like I think that's a little bit out of hand. Usually I like to get to like, chalkier stacks on larger slates, but on smaller slates, I like to, try to take like a little bit more risk because I think that's the best way to get to the top of a GPP. I think if you eat a ton of ownership tonight, especially because like we've talked about, there's going to be 3 really, really highly owned pitchers. So you got to get different with your hitters if you want to get to the top of like a large field GPP. So I kind of like the Guardians tonight. They don't seem to be highly owned, and like we talked about, I'm not convinced that Eovaldi's velocity is back. So if he's still hurt or not 100%, that's a huge red flag for a pitcher. And that look at that Red Sox staff right now; they're getting lit up. So they are kind of the first stack that I'm looking to, assuming that their ownership doesn't like jump up. But they're my favorite in terms of like leverage. I think that Toronto will be fairly popular, and that's another team that's like in a really, really smash spot. And then I know this is kind of ugly, but I kind of like the Orioles tonight too, just because of their prices. They're really quite affordable, and I think that they can fit well. And it's like 90 degrees in Baltimore, and there's wind blowing out. So I think that's a good hitting spot.
But I'm glad you mentioned the weather. The weather. I'm echoing, by the way. I'm not really sure who has. All right, sounds like we cleared that up. Somebody in chat was asking about Cincinnati and if the weather's gonna be fine. And yeah, last night when I was looking at the slate, it looked like this Cincinnati game might not even go. And then this morning, Roth didn't seem terribly concerned. And right now, I guess he has not updated this yet. Usually updates it around this time. And of course, he's going to come on in about a half hour and give you guys the best update. But it looks like Cincinnati is going to be fine. It's green, yellow. And if you look at the lineups page, it was suggesting like there's a pretty good chance of some rain, some precipitation. Has that changed? Yeah, it's saying like 42, 45, 46, whatever. I yield to see what Roth says. But as of right now, I'm not concerned about Cincinnati. Of course, reserve the right to change my mind with new information. But I assume that's going to be good to go. And again, Roth will say otherwise. As far as the stacks is our rankings here, Chop, Toronto's number one. You got to rank somebody number one. Toronto, Boston, Cleveland, Cincinnati, the Mets, Tampa. And I know Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, he wrote this in his article today, and I feel the same way. Like, whatever happens to be, whatever rises as chalk, it's probably bad chalk. Like, it's not good chalk. Like, whatever is heavily owned, it's not distinctly better than whatever's not as owned. It's just a big pile of whatever for me. And that's sort of my thought process. And if like there's going to be some teams that are way overowned, I'm happy getting away from it. What say you? Do you agree? Is that well? I'm looking at your rankings right now, so you do agree. You have Toronto number one, and Boston number two. You didn't rank Cleveland, which is kind of interesting. The only one not to rank Cleveland.
Wow, I'm different already.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just Eovaldi he can be bad, but he can also be very good. So I don't know. I just thought that start off with Toronto. All right. So looking at some of the ownership, it kind of looks like, what Tim is saying. Some of the Cincy guys are going to be really highly owned. Yeah, I can't. I'd rather have Garrett than Cincinnati stacks if I was going to choose. So I don't like that. Amongst all, like, you're going to have ownership on anybody halfway decent tonight just because we're only dealing with like 4 or 5 games. So you're going to have some ownership, but, considering that it takes a while to get down to some Toronto guys, I feel good about Toronto. In fact, I feel really like there's a chance I may like lock in, make sure I have 4 guys in every 4 Toronto guys in every lineup tonight on DraftKings. Maybe. Can't guarantee that, Dean, but there's a chance there just because Wainwright, I kind of hit on it when I was doing the survey. Not a believer in him right now. He's like just throwing a bunch of junk up there, throwing 5 different pitches, spreading them out. They're not all that effective. His curveball used to be like this great curveball. It's just like average now. So I really think there's a chance Toronto can smash Wainwright tonight. So I like them, especially if I'm looking at the ownership, and it doesn't look like they're going to gather a ton of ownership. I really like that one more than anything.
Hey, you like the sprint slate? Just 5 games, and they're all starting within a half hour of lock. I like that. I think it makes it more it's more fun. Also, of course, your night is cleared as well too. You're not watching baseball.
I don't have to stay up all night to watch the Dodgers bust. Is what you're saying.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Every lineup is out. All the games start within a half hour. It's 7:10 East Coast time is the latest we get as far as a start. I think it's 1 or 2 games at 6:40. Is that correct? 1 game at 6:40. Marlins and Cincinnati. By the way, if you see the tools we're showing off, you're seeing like the lineup HQ on the screen, and you want to have access to these fabulous RotoGrinders tools as well as the articles and Dave Potts' article and the expert survey and all different things we talk about, the plate IQ and the umpire data. You can get that. You can win yourself not 1 week, not 2 weeks, not 3, a month. Chop. We're giving away a month free to RotoGrinders Premium. You know how you do that? You know how to do that. I'm sure you're aware. This is not going to be blindsiding you. You got to beat me and Dean. You got to beat me. Beat me in a head-to-head contest. I just went ahead and dropped that link in chat. Just answer, reply. Tell me why I should challenge you. I'm going to pick somebody probably tomorrow, and it's going to go down on Friday. And, you tell me. I'll play on your turf. If you want to play on Fanduel, you want to play on DK, however we do it, I'll play a head-to-head against another one of those sites. And if you beat me, you get 1 month free, an entire month. You can't put a price on that. You could, but you can't put a price on the bragging rights of beating me. And you get not just baseball, by the way. You get MMA, you get golf, you get F1, everything but NASCAR for an entire month. So reply to that tweet. I dropped it in chat. Tell me why I should select you. I'm going to call you. You call me out. I'll handpick somebody. I see Naked HD in chat. I'm still undefeated, Chop. I put my undefeated streak on the line. 2-0. It's not a small sample size, but I want somebody to beat me. I want to give it away to somebody. But there you go.
Good job, Dean. What's your record now?
2-0. We're not listening?
No, I'm checking the scores. Dodgers haven't moved since the first inning. By the way,
are you tilting something right now? Did you have anything live as far as you always like?
Oh no, definitely not live. I'm just looking at it. It's crazy, Dean.
What's that?
This MLB is kind of like there's teams out there that are just kind of like really going through the motions. Even the good ones are just kind of going through the motions on a lot of this stuff, trying to get through the summer. J-Rod again? Yeah, he's pretty good.
A 3-run job. Yeah. I mean, he's guy's gonna be a top 5 player in baseball pretty soon.
I called that, Dean, way back before the season started. Remember, we were doing shows in the last fall, and I was calling J-Rod.
I remember talking to somebody when I was not in a legal sports state, and when he was like 3-1 to win the American League Rookie of the Year, and I'm like, this seems like an awesome bet. And I think he's a heavy favorite now to win the Rookie of the Year because, like, how could he not win the Rookie of the Year? Injury, I suppose. What's his name? Pena is the other guy. Your Astro is the other guy that's battling with him, I suppose. But
it's not even close.
Yeah,
J-Rod.
That's what I saw. Like that was the closest person to
imagine what the numbers would look like right now if he hadn't thrown his wrist out at the All-Star Derby, hitting 71 home runs, man.
Oh man,
or
if he's not in a terrible ballpark. Like that ballpark's not good for homers.
Correct.
Hey, Chad, let me ask you this: as far as your stacks, right? How many hitters are you willing to roster against your pitcher?
I mean, obviously, typically 0 tonight. Probably 0. I still don't think I'm in a situation where I need to do that. Like the slate would have to be really small or really weird to do that. I get it though, like the whole Yankees thing. I get that, and I agree 100% that Scherzer probably won't skate through this thing clean all the way. He will probably give up a solo homer or 2. I would just prefer to put those guys on lineups without Scherzer. So I just don't think I'm kind of forced just yet to to roster hitters against my pitcher on 5 games, so I won't do it. But I won't belittle anybody who does. That's for sure.
I will. So I think I haven't officially made my DK lineups yet. I made my Fanduel lineups, and some of them certainly have 1, possibly 2. I mean, it's a small slate. Scherzer's, he gives up fly balls. He absolutely can give up a homer or 2 and still be like the top pitcher on the slate. Like, that's not completely crazy. And that's one way of like being different, right? You got to handpick the right guy, obviously, and there's some are more likely than others, but that's kind of where I'm at. Tim, do you feel like more Chop's way or more my way?
Well, rostering a Yankee against Scherzer?
Well, not specifically a Yankee, but like, yeah, if you want to roster JJ Bleday against Luis Castillo or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think, those are 2 different things. Like, I personally would really like to roster a Yankee against Scherzer. But I don't know if I would do JJ Bleday against Castillo. You know what I mean? Because so I really think Scherzer's going to give up like 2 solo home runs today. So, I think it's a strong play. I think it's a strong play to be to get you some different ways of building your team tonight.
Let's go around the horn. Chat if you have any questions. I got my eye on you. Well, we'll do our best to keep it to the conversation, but it's going to go around the horn. Fair plays, position by position. Tim, you drew the short straw, so you're going to tell us your favorite catchers tonight.
If you have the salary, my favorite catcher would be Alejandro Kirk. If you don't and you need to go down, which I'm probably going to have to do, it's going to be Christian Bethancourt. So I think he's batting 6th tonight, 5th. Either way, I think it's a pretty good spot for the Rays. So I think that those are your 2 cash game or lower risk type contest plays. And then I think you could get to a guy like I don't know, Danny Jansen, because I think more people will play Kirk in their Blue Jay stacks. So I think that's a good way of getting different.
Here's a good question, Chop. I'll have you answer this. No, actually, I want Tim to answer because he's actually more on board with this. If you're going to roster a Yankee against Scherzer, right? Derek's asking to rank. I mean, of course, there's salary and all that kind of stuff, but amongst Judge, Carpenter, Rizzo, Hicks, who's your favorite guy to roster against Scherzer?
I mean, it's 100% Aaron Judge. I was kicking myself last night from not rostering him. I mean, he was, 6% owned in single entry contests. He's the best hitter in baseball. So he's going to be 5% owned tonight. So if you're going to go that route, I would say one-off Aaron Judge. And I think that's a great play.
If you have a thought there, Chop, by all means, go for it. Otherwise, tell us any catcher you want to add to the conversation.
My thought is that Aaron Judge is a very good hitter, but probably not the best in baseball. I'm gonna lean Jordan on that one. Jordan as being the best.
I mean, it's probably neither of those guys.
What? Don't tell me you're still on the Trout train. That guy's out he's out for the year, man.
He's not coming back this season. Yeah,
nah, he's done. He's done. So, I mean, I agree with him. I think Judge is the one off to have in that lineup. But as far as catchers are concerned, yeah, I mean, if you can spend up Kirk and see, I'm playing on FanDuel, so I don't know if I'll have any of these guys tonight because it's so thin anyway. I don't like having catchers anyhow, especially not guys like this. But Kirk and Jansen against Wainwright are fine. You mentioned Bethancourt, dead stone minimum salary. That's good. Christian Vasquez is interesting in that he's cheap on FanDuel. 5th in the order is really nice for a catcher, and I don't mind the matchup here. So those are some guys I would look at.
Chop it first. Who do you got at top? You got Vladdy or you got the polar bear, Alonso?
Tonight, Vladdy, even though Alonso's been better this year, I think, in general. But tonight, Vladimir is going to be the guy. I really like that matchup for him. But Alonso is definitely high on my list too. And then comes, after that, then you get into some guys who, I don't know, probably won't be that owned. And like the Rizzo one-off isn't bad. He's kind of starting to heat up a little bit. He's got a little power, so you could go Rizzo. But in the cheaper range, I don't mind this matchup for Tampa Bay. I don't even know if I got to mention them with the stack, but Tampa is the sneaky stack for me tonight. So Yandy Diaz is fine. And Vogelbach, I think maybe he gets it together here in his matchup, batting fifth tonight. Shows a little power.
He gets the hook, right? If a lefty comes in, JD Davis, I assume, spells him. Is that fair to say?
I don't know. I haven't seen. I think it's been pretty small sample size with the Mets and with how they're going to treat him. But you tell me, Dean. You got MLB.com. You watch all these games.
I'm not sure if this scenario is played out just yet, Tim. Maybe you know, but I feel like Davis makes a ton of sense to jump in there once. Like Vogelbach's a platoon guy, and he's going to basically face righties when he's and he'll be a pinch hit guy off the bench when the lefty starts the game, that kind of thing, and probably comes out when a lefty comes in if he starts. And generally speaking, is that not fair to say?
That's how I would rank it. That's what I would say. Like, I don't think he's gonna, be facing any lefties. So I see, I don't think he's that strong of a play tonight. He's
got to get there early.
Yeah. That's very, very risky.
And Armand's not going to see him a third time. Like, he might not see him. Well, he probably sees him a second time. But
he'll see him play. He'll see him twice, and then who knows if he'll get another at bat.
Yeah, I'm just checking out the Yankees pen. They have 3 lefties. Chapman pitched yesterday. Peralta. They have Wandy Peralta. He pitched yesterday as well, but only 4 pitches. So they have some lefty arms there. And another guy named Lucas Luque. I don't know. I'm not very good at pronouncing. I never heard of that guy, but maybe he's good. I'm not great at the bullpen specifically as far as actual people sometimes. But all right, Tim, what do you want to add as far as first?
So Vlad is definitely your best raw point play, but it's going to be, you can't just play all the Blue Jays because you're going to be paying up pitching. I really like to get to, my sneaky team is Baltimore today. I really like to get to Ryan Mountcastle or Trey Mancini. They're both really, really cheap on both sites. They're both under 3K on both DK and Fanduel. So they would be my preferred salary savers at that position. You could also get to Josh Naylor if you think Eovaldi is still, hurting, and then Pete Alonso for larger field tournaments.
What do you have as far as second base? Brandon Lau is still really, really cheap on FanDuel, just 3K over there. India leading off is also 3K. He's also cheaper on DK when you compare him against other players. So we're seeing 35% ownership. That's our projection for India on DK at 4K. Cavan Biggio going to be a part of one of the bigger stacks, and of course he makes stuff work. Kind of an up and down season. 2.3K though. Platoon advantage. So I don't mind that as a flat out punt at a pretty weak position here. Tim, second, what do you got?
Yeah, so India's the guy that's going to be the most popular, and that's just chalk that I'm not going to eat tonight. If you guys want to, that's fine. Just understand he's going to be the highest owned. Like Chop said, I'd rather pitch Garrett than get to the red stack, especially at this ownership. So that's up to your own kind of risk tolerance. It's not for me. I'd much rather play Brandon Lowe. I'd much rather play Tommy Edman, Donovan Solano, and even Derek Carty's Roan Odor.
Yeah, it's pretty murky. It's not a great position. I'm not sure if I mentioned Drury, but Drury looks like he's grabbing some ownership on FanDuel as well at batting second versus Garrett, platoon advantage, 23%. A little bit pricey, but you can make that stuff work. Chop, what do you have to add here as far as second?
Not a lot. It's a weak position, and the raw points projections look like India, Drury, and those guys are grabbing the ownership too. So I'm not in love with it. I wish there was another good pivot off of those guys. Brandon Lau's fine, and then it gets really, really weird after that. I guess Cavan Biggio is in the mix, but man, I don't want to attack Kevin Gausman here with Tommy Edman, so don't like that one. The rest of these guys, they just don't do it. I'm not playing Rougned Odor. I'm not playing that one. So it's a tough one. I think my most highly used second baseman is going to end up being Brandon Lau.
Yeah, and FanDuel, especially that price 3K, is pretty appealing. Hey, single entry question here from Alan. I know, Tim, you're playing some single entry stuff tonight. Your favorite best single entry stack on DK?
Single entry stack DK is I think it's the Guardians.
Yeah. Is that 3, 4, 5? Are you making sure to get 5 today, or you forcing that, or it seems?
I don't think you have to force it, but I don't think it's a bad idea either. Like if you're not comfortable with that, I don't think you have to. But I really like getting the 5 of them.
Speaking of the Guardians, hot corner third base, one of the most popular plays in the slate is going to be J-Ram. Jose Ramirez, 4-1 on FanDuel, currently projected for 26% owned. FanDuel specific and 23% owned on DK. That's the leader amongst everybody on both sites as far as third baseman. Chop, are you on board with J-Ram? If not, give me the pivots.
J-Ram's fine. He's always fine. I'm trying to return this text right now, Dean, on my season long.
What?
Season long. I'm thinking
baseball or football?
It's football. Let me ask you this, Dean.
Okay.
Eight-man league. Would you rather draft in the 7th spot or the 8th spot so you get back-to-backs, and then you get to take, and then you get to relax when everybody else is drafting?
Is this like the league? You're in an 8-man league? Like, isn't the league like notorious for having such a small league?
It's just some friends, man, from hometown. It's 22. We're probably about 24, 25 years into this thing now.
That's incredible. Mine disbanded. It's so sad. It's such a bummer. Yeah.
No, we're still going strong. So I'm thinking I'm going to offer this guy. I want to take his 8th spot so I get back-to-backs. But
I mean, where is the break? I haven't drafted anything, but like, there's 7 clear number 1 picks, or like where's the?
I don't think so. For me, it's looking like 5 or 6 for me. So I'm not sure that there's that disadvantageous to draft another spot
also
down.
Is the guy drafting 7th? Is he sharp or is he not sharp?
Funny you should ask, Dean. This guy, he's I'm not gonna say names because I don't know if any of these guys will ever tune in, but let's just say that so this is going to be his first year back with us. He took about a 10-year, probably about a 15-year break, because back in the day we had to kick him out because yeah, he just never messed with his roster, and he would just. So I think the final straw was when he didn't even pay the last year. So we had to boot him, man, for 15 years. But apparently he's back. He's a new man, probably gone to rehab or whatever. I don't know, man. But he's the one I want to switch with. So more than likely, I would say it's a non-sharp. But even though you never know about guys, so I don't know, Dean.
So you had a 7-man league last year, or something?
No, no. People are always coming in. Well, actually, there's believe it or not, Dean, there's a lot of guys who want to get in. There's almost like a waiting list to get in here. But
you can make it 10, can't you?
We could, but we don't want to because it's a home league, and this is just the way it is. And so,
quarterbacks.
Last year, the guy who got booted. He just went on this tirade, man, during the playoffs. He just did not like the rules changes, even though on draft day we all voted for it. He had a chance to speak up and vote, but I guess he just glossed over everything, didn't care, was probably hammered at the draft. Got to the playoffs. He looked at the rules and said, "What is this garbage?" And then these texts would come all night long about how much garbage the system was now, and I'm not going to play in the league next year if it's like this. And finally, everybody just got tired and booted him. So, you put in your work for 12, 13 years, and then you get booted because you spout your trap too much, man. That's what happens, Dean.
We got to move on, but 2 things. First of all, put me on the waiting list too. Can I get in the waiting list if you don't mind?
You're too sharp, Dean. I don't want you in that league. I need to keep vulturing these guys.
And B Shot and is asking in chat, did you finally get access to Spike Week?
Oh man, I was saving this for Friday's show with Kirk because I know Kirk is he's really anxiously away.
Well, tease us.
I'm gonna tease you with. He sent me a message in Slack.
Okay.
But it was not what you would expect. So that's all I'm saying.
That's Bankroll. He's the keeper of Spike Week.
Bankroll. That's all I'm gonna say. So you tune in for Friday for the full story.
There you go. And then we got a cliffhanger for Friday's show. Tell me your thoughts as far as third.
Matt Chapman. I wish he was hitting a little bit better in the order usually, but this is what he is. So he's fine tonight. Chapman. I already mentioned Diaz. The great Isaac Paredes, man. You got to have some Isaac Paredes on him. He can swing the dial. And after that, I could just not one off Nolan Jones. I'm not in love with Cleveland, but if Eovaldi can give up some home runs here. So, I think Chapman's my number 1 though.
I like the Paredes call. I think people are going to be playing if they're playing Tampa, they're playing like Yandy Diaz over him, but I think Paredes has got bigger upside. And the pitcher he's facing, I believe he's a reverse splits pitcher as well, right on right. Jump in there, Tim. Your thoughts as far as third base?
Yeah, third base is pretty easy for me. I'm going to play J-Ram on both my primary teams on both sites. Like Chop said, I do like Matt Chapman quite a bit. Paredes is a good play also. Bobby Dahlback, I guess, but I think he is really, really struggling. So I think
he's bad.
Yeah, and like you could play like J-Ram and like Kevin Biggio on like a Cleveland Toronto stack. So I mean, like you could play both of them on FanDuel. I think that's I mean it's really just J-Ram for me. Like that's a piece of chalk that I'm definitely eating tonight.
We should say about 5-10 minutes or so. We got Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, joining us, joining the show. Keith Eyster, Eyes, as well as Chief Engineer Odds, Kevin Roth. He'll tell you what's going on in Cincinnati. We've seen some conflicting stuff where, Roth said it was fine earlier today, and according to our lineups page, looks a little bit concerning, but, we'll see what Roth has to say. I yield to him, obviously. Shortstop, what do you have here, Tim?
Yeah, so I think it's the Red Sox are incredibly cheap on FanDuel, and I think that they're going to be pretty highly owned on that site. I think they'll be not as high owned on DK. Xander Bogaerts at 2,900. That's a steal. Just understand that everybody's going to see that, and he's going to be very, very popular. I think that I'd rather get to like Bo Bichette or even Amon Rosario. That's just me though. I'm not going to, I'm going to try to focus on just making a stand on Cleveland and getting some Toronto. And if I need some salary savers, then I can get to guys that are cheap for the Orioles on DK.
AJ in chat says this dude's voice is penetrating. I don't know if that's me, if that's you, or if that's Chop. I'm not sure. We need to be more specific. I think it's Tim. I'm not sure. Whose voice is penetrating, Chop?
Yeah, I would think it would be referring to Tim.
It wouldn't be the adjective I would use, but I think by default it's probably Tim. I don't know. Hey, chat, hit that like button kindly. Yeah, hit all the buttons, hit all the things. Subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff helps us keep the proverbial lights on. And again, right around the corner, we got the Crunch Time crew coming in, taking you guys straight up to lock. Chop, what do you have as far as short?
Bo Bichette is fine. Xander Bogaerts is okay. I think my number one tonight is Lindor. Even on a short slate and not many options, he still seems like he's probably going to be pretty under-owned here, or far lesser owned than some of the other guys. Maybe fourth or fifth on the list, maybe. So I kind of like some Lindor tonight. I really think the Mets really put it on the Yankees tonight. So
I do too.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to wager some American dollars legally on that. I'm going to get off the show. I was kind of looking at the odds, and yeah, I feel like the Mets get to Herman, and I think Scherzer maybe gives him a solo job or something like that. But I can see him winning this game like 7-1. We'll see. More exciting game yesterday, especially early. Let's jump to the outfield. There are some salary savers in the outfield, Chop. We do live in the world with salary cap, and Jarren Duran. Like we talk about good chalk and bad chalk. Like Jarren Duran just feels like bad chalk. I understand why he's going to be popular. I'm going to have some too. I don't feel great about it. Leading off against Quantrill, he's pretty cheap. 30% projected own on DK. He's basically the floor salary on FanDuel as well. Franmil Reyes is another cheapie who I think, I'm seeing coming in a little bit less as far as ownership. But, we talked about Eovaldi being a little bit rough these days as far as his velocity. Historically, a reverse splits guy. Franmil from the right-hand side, staring at that monster in Fenway. Franmil is one of my favorite cheapies in the slate. Chop, you tell me, who do you like in the outfield?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, the ownership, the way it's going here in the outfield. But, guys I had marked off on my list that I liked, and now I'm looking at ownership. So it's a crazy comparison. But I had Tommy Pham on my list, and then I'm looking and like 30% owned. Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit higher than what I thought it was going to be. So what it is, what it is. Pham, I think I like Garrett, but if I'm going to one-off somebody, I think it could probably be Tommy Pham. I had Duran down there. Not in love with that one now. Springer against Wainwright, like that one. Verdugo, I like him. 2,400 on FanDuel. A little bit chalky though, but I like him in this spot here, batting in the second spot. Getting to some lesser owned guys that are like Starling Marte against Herman. I like that one. Teoscar Hernandez. He always goes under owned in these Toronto stacks, so I like Teoscar. Nimmo looks pretty decent, and also another Met, great Mark Canha at under 5% tonight. I can get behind that, man, because I think that we get to a point where if things play out the way you want in your stack, then the whole let's bring in a certain guy to face a certain guy kind of goes out the window for the Yankees because, high leverage spots, I get it. But hopefully you get it to a point in your stack where it's not even high leverage anymore, and it's like 6-run lead, and they're not doing that. So you can still have your full allotment of at bats from some of these guys. You're just hoping for something like that.
Hey, Chop, would you let Tommy Pham go on the waiting list for your fantasy league?
Oh man, great question, Dean. I don't know. He's a troublemaker, man. He might be worse than the last guy we just booted. But I mean, probably not, man. I don't think I get him on the list because he seems a little bit too hardcore, man. Like
takes it very seriously.
Yeah, too seriously. And then what if he flew in for the draft one year and socked you one in the face because he didn't like what you did the year before, man? Like, can't be messing with that because you just never know about this guy. I don't know.
Tim, outfield, what do you got for me?
Yeah, so I agree with everything Chop said. I think the only thing I'd add for tournaments is Cedric Mullins.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty decent price, really, on both of the major sites. I like the Teoscar call quite a bit because he's the cheaper of the two. You get a pretty sizable savings over Springer in your Blue Jay stack. So I mean, you're not going to be able to play every single Toronto player that you want. So he's a good little salary saver for Toronto. And then I agree with you, Dean. I'd much rather play Reyes over Duran. So he's going to be a part of all my Cleveland stacks tonight.
Let's give the people some homers, some dongs. Tim, what do you got? A couple home run predictions. Feel free to give 1, 2, 3. Be as ambitious as you want to be. Go for it.
All right, I'm gonna go Cedric Mullins. I'm gonna go Aaron Judge, and then I'm gonna go Reyes.
Chop, see those dongs, raise them.
Brandon Lyles for sure going yard tonight. I feel like Starling Marte is a little stroke of power, so I'm going Marte, and I'm gonna go crazy here, Dean. I'm going to miss Danny Jansen. Danny Jansen, catcher spot, is going to get him one.
That is pretty ambitious. I appreciate that. We do have the Crunch Time crew knocking on the door. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, Dave Potts, Keith Eyster, Eyes. Roth, what's the story here with Cincinnati? Because the lineups page is saying there's like a 40% chance of precipitation. You didn't seem terribly concerned. I don't know if you updated your article on that. How do we feel weather-wise in Cincinnati?
What's the story with you pretending that the lineups page matters at all when you have me?
Well, if you were watching previously in the show, I say, as always, I yield to Roth. The people in chat were concerned. They're like, there's conflicting reports. They're scared. They're concerned.
Any of these automated systems just use one forecast model. And if that model's wrong, then it's just wrong. And there's no one to correct it. And that model's wrong. It's fine. There's a very, very low chance of a delay. Do we want pitchers there?
Yeah. Luis Castillo is going to be throwing his last game as a Cincinnati Red, and he's going to throw a complete game shutout with 10 strikeouts.
Okay. Well, there is a chance of a delay, but it's low enough that you just play him anyways.
And Garrett's okay on the other side too.
Yeah.
Dave, this is the last game, right? Dave, Castillo's getting traded at some point.
Yeah, he had. It would be a huge error if they didn't trade him. I think they'll get it done.
And just out of curiosity, we talked about this earlier. Are you concerned about any sort of length as far as his pitches? But they've let him go like 100, 105, 110, 115. This feels like if there's such a thing as a showcase game, it feels like this is a showcase game.
Yeah, as long as he's pitching well, they'll let him pitch.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I wouldn't be worried about them pulling him early if he's pitching well.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's step aside. Let's yield.
Wait, Dean, before you go, can we talk about what happened to you at the sports book? Not our wonderful sponsor. But these people just stole your money.
Well, they didn't steal my money. PointsBet in Colorado, they enticed me. They said, hey, you make a large sum. You make a big old deposit bonus, and I did. I stepped up, and it was 5 figures plus. So they basically said, look, if you do this, if you make a deposit, we're going to give you 4 separate bets, free bets, $2,500 a piece. So $10,000 in value of free bets. You do not get the value back in the free bets. So you're supposed to be smart and not, you don't bet like a minus 190. You don't bet a big favorite. You bet, kind of something like 2-1, 3-1, something like that. I used one of them. I used one of those $2,500 bets, and I lost. It was a parlay. I hit the first leg, failed the second leg, lost. So I still have my 3 bets at $2,500 a piece left. And then it just disappears from my account. They're just gone. And I'm like, yeah, so why did you take this away from me? And they said, you broke the terms. You breached the terms. I'm like, what did I do? I made a bet. Like, what is the alternative? So they basically said I breached the terms. And then I said, okay, you suck. Give me my money back. I asked for my money back. And for the record, I wasn't killing the site. I was up like $200. That's nothing in the grand scheme. And I was up $200, and I asked for a withdrawal. I got a withdrawal back today via PayPal. And guess what? This is the update. They gave me back my initial deposit. They did not give me the $200 I won. Like, that's still in my account. And I don't know what the story is there. They're going to hold that ransom. But a bad experience. And I tweeted it out, and several people have had a bad experience on PointsBet in Colorado. Backed by NBC Sports, by the way. There's an NBC Sports banner on their logo. NBC is a pretty big deal. But, my sample size of 1, I did not enjoy my experience there. And hopefully they're not going to be a sponsor anytime soon.
We will reject their sponsorship because I kind of figured once you tweeted, they were going to be like, oh, my bad. You're someone. Here's your money back. Here's the bets back. But no, they didn't even do that.
It was people saying, yeah, same thing happened to me. They did the same thing to me. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I get that's an interesting practice. Like, bait and switching people. And then,
right.
Well, there's like 10 other places I can bet. Why would I continue betting with you? So, yeah. There you go,
man. Okay.
All righty. We're going to step aside and get out of here. Myself and Tim and Chop, the Fanduel sponsor, the beautiful Fanduel Sportsbook that never stole any money from me.
No.
Sponsored show Crunch Time with Kevin Roth starts now. Roth, take it away.
Appreciate it. No bait and switch here. This is indeed Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel, as Dino mentioned. Joined by a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Dave Potts, Mr. Cheeseisgood, rocking that RG swag with pride. Cheese, how you doing, bud?
I am doing all right. Yeah, we've already had all kinds of baseball all day. Got a little more. Good slate, small slates, but good slates all around. There's good pitching, good hitting. Good Wednesday.
Good Wednesday indeed. And then we got Keith Eyster. I call him the Iceman. Dean called him the Eyes Man. Eyes. Is it ice or eyes? I thought it was the Iceman.
So 100% it is ice.
Okay.
But it is spelled more like eyes. So
Sure.
I get that all of the time. But the pronunciation is Eyster. So yes, ice is more fitting than eyes.
This is also a way cooler nickname. The Iceman is way better than Eyes or Eyes Man. What are you, an optometrist? I guess that's not at all helpful. Is that an eye doctor, an optometrist?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Hey, let's real quick. I do have a wonderful read from our sponsor here. FanDuel Single Entry Series is back, baby. 50K in bonus cash up for grabs. 6 week of chances. Showcase your DFS chops. No MME nonsense. Just single entry plus 2 doubleheader weeks. So it's 8 chances to win. Top 4 scores each week count to your combined score. You get the highest combined score. You get paid on top of the bonus you're already getting, on top of you're already winning. Top finisher in each series gets an all expenses paid trip to the single entry series championship in Chicago on September 9th, shot at a $10,000 prize. Both of you, as I point up, you're on my screen, you're up. You are MMEers. Are you also single entrying this?
Yes, I missed the first day, but I played yesterday. I'll play today. Yeah, I love single entry. I prefer single entry to MME.
Okay, Ice.
Yeah, same. I mean, I think anybody who MMEs also plays single entry because they're generally better contests, a little bit easier to win that type of format. There's different ways to attack them. You can build a cash team that has a higher probability of cashing in that, or you can go way off the board, and the ownership really condenses in those contests. So you can take advantage of that if you want to go way off the board in single entry as well.
And I like how they take your top 4. So that kind of like changes your strategy a little bit. Like if you've got a few solid ones going, you can take a full home run swing on the next, like the 5th day or whatever. Be like, all right, I'm going to put an all or nothing guy out there with some junk stack that could make me a hero. I don't know. I think it's really neat. And so if you're not in it, get in it. It might be full already, but you got to get in those early. Do have to talk about the weather real quick. Dean mentioned yes, there's a chance for a pop-up shower or storm both in Cincinnati and in Baltimore. I don't think that you should do anything about it. I think that probability is low enough that you just play those odds. I think the delay chance is less than 20% in both games. So if it's cool with you guys, you just play it and pretend it's going to be okay.
We won't even pretend. We'll just actually make it be okay.
That'd be better. Yeah, that would be ideal. But I do want to note that, yes, there is a few little pop-ups around, but the coverage just isn't impressive. The chance of one ending up on the ballpark is low. So I think it's highly likely both of those games are going to be okay. So with that said, let's talk about some of these pitchers, or Cheese, if you want, the slate in general.
We'll just go to the pitchers. It's a 4-game slate, kind of breaks itself up.
Yeah, that's true.
Basically, it's wildly straightforward. There are 3 aces. I mean, there's one ace of aces. There's Max Scherzer. Even against the Yankees, like, he's the best pitcher, and that's who you should play if you don't care about price or ownership and just want the best pitcher. That's Max Scherzer. And then Gausman and Castillo are the next best pitchers by a lot over everything past them. Their matchups are pretty good. Personally, on FanDuel, I don't have a single thing. It's not one of those 3. Like, the salary just doesn't force you to go cheap. You're allowed to do it. I mean, like, you could go down to as low as Tyler Wells if you really wanted to, 6,600. But yeah, you just don't need that salary. There's nothing priority to spend up on. Some of the cheap bats are just as good as the expensive bats. So I think you play Scherzer first, and then Gausman and Castillo, and be done with it. Especially on FanDuel. DraftKings, you might need a couple. Like, I have a couple Tyler Wells where he's 5,800. The other mid-tier guys, I just don't know why we're messing with it. Like, Braxton Garrett is okay and can strike out some guys, but he's kind of priced up to, like, why would you not just play Castillo and Gausman? I also mentioned, long-term numbers. Nathan Eovaldi might look really good, especially on FanDuel at 78, but he's 2 starts back off the IL. His velocity's way down. He's getting absolutely shellacked. Like, until he shows that he's healthy, I think he is completely untouchable for me. He's definitely untouchable. I'm stacking against him, and I wouldn't consider playing him myself.
Okay, good note. Ice, do you have any other takes here, or is it, mainly those top 3 for you?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel the exact same way. You just play the top 3 on FanDuel, especially that middle tier. I don't see the upside, even with the $1,000 savings or whatever. And it's not even 1,000 in most cases. There's just not enough upside from that middle tier to even mess with. On DraftKings, Tyler Wells, just to get a slightly different lineup construction. Like, if you want to play some expensive one-offs like a Jose Ramirez or an Aaron Judge, with a Toronto stack, that's about the only time you really need Tyler Wells. But just to get a little bit different in some of my lineups, I am doing that. But yeah, primarily it's Scherzer number 1 with Gausman and Castillo very closely behind. Get as much of those 3 as you can, and a little bit of Tyler Wells where I need the salary, which is not very often. I will say on FanDuel, I think with as cheap as some of these offenses are, Cincinnati and Cleveland in particular, and Boston is really cheap. Leaving salary on the table on a short slate especially is a very good strategy today.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the stacks. So, Ice, you can lead us off. Is there a chalk stack here?
It's a little bit site dependent because of the pricing. I mentioned on FanDuel, Boston is really cheap. Cleveland is really cheap, and Cincinnati is really cheap. I think Toronto is the best stack of the day. And they will be the highest owned on DraftKings. But FanDuel, where you have the pricing coming into play, I think those cheaper stacks are going to carry more ownership. as far as top overall stack, who I think can score the most runs, it's Toronto. But as far as my favorite stack, I think Cleveland on FanDuel is my preferred way to save money. Eovaldi coming back off the injured list just hasn't looked quite right. Velocity is down a little bit. Great ballpark upgrade for them going into Fenway Park. And I love their pricing. So I really like Cleveland. I like Boston as well. And I don't think they're picking up quite as much ownership as some of the Cincinnati guys because there's no Devers in that lineup. There's no Story in that lineup, which is kind of leading to some of the cheaper prices. But you also have just complete mispricings like Xander Bogaerts, 2,900 on FanDuel, just way too cheap for him. A matchup against Cal Quantrill, who is a fly ball pitcher in Fenway Park. That's not a good mixture there. Even with a little bit of a depleted lineup for Boston, I think they can definitely hit some home runs off of Quantrill here. He's very low strikeout guy and gives up the fly balls. So just a great fit for Cleveland, in my opinion. Cincinnati is going to pick up some ownership on FanDuel where they're really cheap. Even DraftKings, they're underpriced as well. Great ballpark there. Fine matchup against Braxton Garrett, not somebody that scares me. I do like some individual pieces for Cincinnati, but I prefer more of a mini stack or one-offs there of the lower owned guys than a full stack of them. Guys like India and Tommy Pham are picking up quite a bit of ownership, but I don't mind a pivot to somebody like a Brandon Drury there as a one-off. And then the Mets are probably my favorite off-the-board type of thing. Domingo Germán struggled in his first start back, only made it through 3 innings, gave up a couple home runs. So the Mets, even though the ballpark isn't quite as great, and the Yankees do have a pretty good bullpen, I do like the Mets to get off the board a little bit.
Okay, good stuff. Cheese, talk me through some of your favorite stacks or your thoughts in general in stacking.
My main general thought is if you ask anyone who's the best team, I think everyone would say Toronto. And yet I don't think they're the chalk on either site because of the salary. You can easily play Scherzer with anything other than Toronto. And it's a little tough to go Scherzer with top of Toronto. So I actually think even though they're obviously the best team, they're not the most popular, which makes me like them more.
Okay.
And after them, everything is evenly playable. It's really a spread out slate.
Okay, great. You got a second favorite or no? It's Toronto and then
Second favorite is Cleveland.
Okay, great. Good stuff. And is there, if you're doing Toronto, is there like a cheaper mini stack? Is that Cleveland? Is that where they come into play?
Each site has its own, like Keith had mentioned, Boston on FanDuel. There's some Cincinnati and Cleveland and Baltimore on both sites that you can fit in there.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's go position by position. We do start
20 minutes.
Yeah, we start in about 20 minutes here. So still enough time, but geez, let's get rolling here with a little catcher talk.
Yeah, basically, Alejandro Kirk is kind of the obvious top guy, but pretty hard to get. I think Bethancourt is your punt, and he's a pretty decent punt. And I also like Adley Rutschman a good bit. And then I like, just to be different, playing Jansen instead of Kirk in some Toronto stacks. That's it.
Okay, Ice.
Yeah, I like the Jansen over Kirk build for a way to differentiate Toronto as well. Agree Kirk is the top option, and Rutschman is a great play. Christian Vasquez, another guy that I like. And I don't even mind punting with Papierski for Cincinnati as a way to differentiate Cincinnati stacks.
Okay. Take us to first base.
All right.
What was that noise?
When anyone says his name for any reason. Carry on. I'm doing that.
The first one I was like, what? I thought like somebody's video started playing or something.
I thought Devin was in the background
like,
randomly like talking in a high-pitched voice, but it was Cheese sneaking it in there. Okay, first base.
All right. So Vlad Guerrero is the top play here. Right next to him is Pete Alonso. Both phenomenal options today. You can save a little money with Josh Naylor. I like him for certain in Cleveland stacks. I think you can play him as a one-off as well with his power. I don't mind the Baltimore guys as one-offs, Mancini and Mountcastle. Not really looking to stack Baltimore, but I do like a couple of pieces there. Bobby Dahlbeck is really cheap for the Red Sox, and Daniel Vogelbach is playable in the middle of the Mets lineup.
Okay, Cheese.
So yeah, obviously Vlad, but I love Pete Alonso. I will call him my favorite overall play on the slate based on how good he is and that he'll be lower owned because of Vlad. Josh Naylor, definitely. The Baltimore guys are super cheap. I like Mancini. Lewin Diaz. We're going to get, even if Castillo pitches great, we're going to get a random cheap left-handed homer from either Lewin Diaz or JJ Bleday in the outfield, and probably both. So I don't mind just random cheap darts there.
Great. Okay, take us to second, Cheese.
There's basically Jonathan India and Brandon Lau, and that's it. I think Kevin Biggio is a pretty good play. We'll pick up moderate ownership because of the Toronto stack and his price. And then on FanDuel, Drury is also second base eligible. And I would play him and India together for the most part. But I prefer Drury to India if you just play one. But I rank Lau first, India second, and then Biggio third.
Okay. Ice, second base.
Yeah. So FanDuel has a few more options because of the positional eligibility. There's like 3 Reds in play here. Drury and India. I also like Donovan Solano. He's hit lefties really well this season. He's up in the 6 hole and near minimum price on FanDuel, so I like him there. Nolan Gorman as a one-off, I don't mind, even though he's way down in the 8 hole. A big power bat for St. Louis there. Tough matchup against Gaussman, but I'm just chasing a home run. Outside of that, not much else. Biggio did get moved up to the 6th spot, so a little extra boost for him today.
Okay, take us to third.
Jose Ramirez, clearly the top option on the slate here. Drury has eligibility over here as well. Really like him today. Chapman down in the 7 hole for the Blue Jays probably lowers his ownership a little bit. Certainly don't mind that. The Rays guys are fine. Another team I'm not looking to stack, but I don't mind a one-off or a mini stack there. Isaac Paredes and Yandy Diaz both have eligibility here.
Okay. Cheese, I assume you're at least in agreement with J-Ram.
Yeah, he's the top play. Keith mentioned Solano at second base on FanDuel. He's a really cheap third baseman on DK as well, where you can only play one of him and Drury. And while I do prefer Drury, he's like almost twice as expensive. So I'll throw him in there, but he pretty much mentioned everyone else.
Okay, then shortstop.
So on FanDuel, Bogaerts is going to be obvious chalk because of that price. But you don't really have to spend up that much to get Bichette or Lindor. I lean Lindor, just kind of the same thing as Alonso. Like the Mets seem like a good stack, a good place for one-offs, a good place for mini stacks. And those are the 2 guys I want. So while Xander is definitely the top play, if you have a little extra money, that's a place I would spend up just to be a little different, Bichette or Lindor.
Okay. Ice.
I like both of those expensive guys as well. I'm sure if you're looking to save a little bit of money, those cheap Reds come into play again. Kyle Farmer is the shortstop option. Matt Reynolds is in the lineup as well. I think he will be one of the lower owned Reds because there's so many options here in the infield. He's like the 5th infield option for them. So he just kind of falls by the wayside. Solano has shortstop eligibility on FanDuel. So Reds all over the infield for sure. And then Ahmed Rosario is the other guy that I'll mention in a Cleveland stack.
Okay. Reds in the infield, but we got to talk the outfield. So what do you say?
All right. So Boston has a couple of cheap options. Jarren Duran leading off is certainly going to be very popular. Verdugo is up at the top of the lineup as well. Certainly like the Blue Jays guys, Springer, Teoscar Hernandez be my 2 favorites. Franmil Reyes is one of my favorite pivots in the cheap range. A lot of power there, has struggled a little bit, but Eovaldi just doesn't quite look right. Also think he has a good chance of a home run today. Brandon Nimmo is really cheap on FanDuel. Certainly like him over there. Tommy Pham for the Reds.
All right, Cheese.
Yeah, if you like Jarren Duran, Tommy Pham, chalk, who doesn't? Today's your day, I guess. It's weird chalk, but like they're kind of the best plays just for something cheap. But there's a lot of cheap stuff. So I think I would rather kind of mid-tier it than try to go up. I mean, by all means, anytime someone named Aaron Judge is completely unowned, even against Max Scherzer, you play him.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to point out, since we haven't mentioned him, literally the best hitter in baseball by a lot, and it's not even close, is a left-handed batter facing a pitcher who allows left-handed power. That is Matt Carpenter.
Oh, well, Jesus.
But really, like Aaron Judge, always play him a little bit. But my favorite play is Cedric Mullins for like the mid-tier guy that really projects just as well as the Tommy Phams and George Springers and stuff, but won't get the ownership. I like him. Like we're projecting him pretty high, but I don't think he gets there. And then Teoscar Hernandez kind of jumps out mid-tier as well, along with Brandon Nimmo.
Okay. Cheese, one stack for all the glory. I'm assuming for you it's Toronto based on what you said about their projection and their ownership not matching.
Yes, it would be Toronto and then Cleveland.
Okay. Ice, one stack to win it all.
Yeah, I'll go Cleveland is the one that you have to have.
Very nice. Okay, guys, we've got 9 minutes or so for some QQs. Let's dive in. Scrolling up just a wee bit here. Okay, Longhorn says DKGPP, Marte and Rayleigh, or Canha and J-Lau. Cheese, giving that one to you.
I would Marte and Rayleigh there.
Okay. Best pitcher in a FanDuel GPP. Ice, you got a favorite out of the kind of top three there?
Yeah, it's Max Scherzer. Tough matchup against the Yankees, but a big ballpark upgrade going into Citi Field as opposed to Yankee Stadium. Yeah, tougher matchup for him, but he's a better pitcher than the other two.
Okay. NBA DFS FanDuel cash question for you. Cheese, Vladdy, and L. Diaz, or Y. Diaz and B. Lau. A lot of first letters happening here.
Yeah. Well, it's really close. Like, just side with the Vlad side just to get the one clear best bat out of that group.
Okay. We'll go to Gamble 28. Ice, FanDuel GPP question for you. Marte v. Lindor. Who do you prefer?
I will go Lindor there.
Okay. DK Cash, Cheese, Vladdy and Solano, or Marcini and Ramirez?
Mancini, perhaps?
What did I say?
Marceroni. I would go Vlad and Solano.
As I was reading it, I was thinking of like macaroni, and I don't know why.
Right, like that's what when you said that, I was like, pasta sounds good.
I don't know why I just saw that. I was like, I'm in the mood for like some cheese and shells. Okay, Mancini. I don't know why I pronounced that macaroni. Let's see. We're caught up over there on the Discord, so I'm going to jump into the YouTube real quick, see if we can get some QQs. Where's Vogelbach's ownership falling? Ice, do you like where his ownership is falling?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be pretty low owned. Vlad and Alonso are two of the best plays on the slate. There are plenty of other cheap options below him.
Yeah, we've got him projected like 2% and 4% owned, and I think that's about right.
Yeah, I think the Mets in general are under owned. That's why I like them as the off the board stack.
Okay, we'll go to Manny's question. FanDuel GPP Cheese, large field in a FanDuel GPP. Is Escobar in play? Is the question.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty far down the list, but it's not at that deep of a position. So, yes, I think he is.
Okay. Speaking of best hitter in baseball, which could be argued, it's your boy Carp. But your other favorite hitter in the world went yard again today. Cheese, I assume you saw that.
Yeah, Jordan Alvarez. So that reminds me, is actually is relevant to the slate with the small sample, weird numbers. We all know like it's not a joke. Like Matt Carpenter is like, yeah, it's small sample, but his numbers are the best in the league, like by a crazy ton.
Like league history, yeah.
If you sort by ISO, Carpenter's in his own tier, and then it's Judge, Alvarez, Trout, Buxton, and one other guy, Danny Jansen, in that group. Danny Jansen's actually third. It's a very small sample. He's only played 26 games. But Carpenter, Judge, Alvarez, Trout, Buxton, and Danny Jansen. So, there's something there.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't even know who he plays for.
He's the secondary catcher for Toronto. The guy we said play him instead of Kirk to be different in some Toronto stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. That does explain why I have no idea who he plays for. He's a backup catcher. So, all right. Okay, back to the QQs and jumping back over to the RG Discord. If you're not in it, you should be. If you're freeloading over on YouTube, first off, shout out to Fanduel. Second, hit that like button. We could use it. DK single entry cheese. If I'm fading Schurz, what high-end bats must I have that preferably are low owned?
I really don't think there is one because like the ownership on Ramirez will be so high. Honestly, for me, it would probably be Alonso. Like just go double different. No Scherzer with Alonso, and then you really don't have to worry about ownership at all. The sort of answer I guess would be Jose Ramirez, but I still prefer Alonso over him.
Right. Okay. DFS Dre, DK Cash for you, Ice, Vato or Choi?
I don't like Votto lefty, so I'll go Choi. I think there are better options, though.
Okay. Fick Nostrum, I'm coming right back at you here. Fick Nostrum says, Ice, what are your thoughts on JJ Bleday?
Yeah, I mean he's a real prospect. He's minimum price. What's not to like?
Yeah, let me say he's the guy. I mentioned him when I mentioned Lewin Diaz at first, but didn't especially mention him in the outfield again. He might be my highest owned player just because of the salary, and I just feel like it's his home run day.
Okay, and this is the Roth rule, where if we're not certain a guy sucks and he's min priced, you should play that guy. We're not certain he sucks. In fact, he might be good, right?
Yeah, I mean, 20 homers in 85 games in the minors.
Yeah, and like a top 10 pick a couple of years ago. So
Power
definitely a real
very
prospect.
real.
Yeah, I don't know. Play him. Okay, Beaner, Fam or Mountcastle? Cheese.
Fam.
FanDuel Cash 3v3. You get the difficult one here, Ice. You ready for it?
Yep.
Gaussman, Springer, Vlad, or Birthday Boy Max, JD, and Durant?
Yeah, I don't want to try to fade Max in Cash, so I definitely lean the second one there.
How did no one mention it's his birthday? I mean, that changes things. At first, I was like, you shouldn't pay up that much for Scherzer.
Have you really not heard that today? Like,
no, I really haven't.
That's all I've heard.
Has it been everywhere?
It's like, I just want to know who's not vaccinated and whose birthday it is. This is what I need to know.
Yeah, no, that's the first I've heard of it, but I'm in on the birthday narrative. Gregorius says, Roth, after the slate locks, which is in 2 minutes, can we talk weather for the golf tournament this week? Seems to be a lot of wind Thursday. Yes.
Yeah, I have some golf takes for you for sure. So we're going to do that.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Cheese, famously fantastic at PGA. Okay. Jumping over here. Springer or Marte? Ice. Derek Waters says Springer or Marte.
I'll go Springer.
Okay. Ross, look at this. He says Max Scherzer. I have no idea if he's making this up, but Ross Schinberg says Max Scherzer in 4 starts on his birthday, 1.04 ERA with 35 Ks. Got to lock it in.
That's just like 4 normal Max Scherzer.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like pick any 4 stars for Scherzer, and they're amazing.
Yeah, that's true. Dre says FanDuel GPP. Ice, you want? Okay, so I think it's pick one of them. Reyes, Belade, Verdugo, Pham, or Hayes.
I will go Franmil Reyes. Love him today.
Okay. Manny says, what are your thoughts on Walls today for Tampa, FanDuel? Cheese?
I mean, it's really just because he's cheap, and if you're playing a stack and he fits, it's fine. But I mean, I don't particularly like him.
Okay. Tony wants my home run call, and though I am ice cold, I went from true inferno to just absolute trash. It's JJ Bleday. It's the kid. The kid's going yard.
Well,
you're still about 50%, I think, and you can usually get those home run props around plus 350, plus 400. So you're still well in the green.
You're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, I'll take it. Thank you. Richie Smalls says McNeil or Santander, Ice, in an O's Mets stack on DK.
It was McNeil or Santander.
Correct.
I'll go Santander.
All right. DK Cash, Cheese coming up on lock quickly. Vlad, Dalbec, Farmer, or Votto, Bogart, Solano?
Vlad, Dalbec, Farmer.
NBA DFS, Franmil Reyes, or Bleday? FanDuel cash.
That's closer for cash.
Yeah, play Reyes and cash, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
We all love Lede, but I mean, don't start playing him in cash just because we're talking about him.
I've seen his name typed 3 times so far,
with
and
an
it's been
E.
spelled differently every time. So, what is it? BLEDAY? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, we hit the lock. Poe Stoner says, I thought Kevin took Judge yesterday for his bomb pick. No, I did say he was going to hit a bomb, but my official pick was Big Meat Pete. So that one went downhill. Okay. You guys want to talk a little golf real quick?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheese, you got a pick for
yeah,
this?
I do. So you can make an incredible team that actually have little dots by their names. And the way I pick golfers is based on how fun it will be for me to say their names during the weekend while they're golfing. Thagila Gottarup Thjorbornson Smotherman.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Is that one person or was that 4 people?
That's 4 people.
Okay.
Smotherman. Gottarup Smotherman. This is going to be a great weekend. I really hope these guys are all good.
Yeah.
I've already got a little song in my head. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a catchy tune with names like that.
Yes.
It can't go wrong. I do think it looks like Thursday will be windier. Thursday afternoon will be windier than Friday afternoon. Both mornings, Thursday and Friday, start out great, like 5 miles per hour. Late morning, closer to 10. But on Thursday, those winds should peak a little bit over 15 miles per hour, gusts of 25. On Friday, the winds are going to peak at like 12 miles per hour with gusts of 20. It's not a huge difference, but it is notable and it is fairly clear cut. So I do think it is going to be an advantage if you've got Thursday morning, Friday afternoon, but I don't think it's such a big advantage that you need to build your whole roster about it. This isn't 30 mile per hour winds versus 5. This is 15 versus 10, essentially.
Do play Smotherman. And then you can get a little sneaky with Thjorbornson in the afternoon.
Those are the 2 that I wanted anyways. Yeah, I want Smotherman and Thjorbornson.
Smotherman is fantastic. This is my favorite golfer of all time.
Okay, good stuff, guys. I think we are going to get on out of here. So for Ice and for Cheese and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.